Hey everyone, Shrike here. Today I want to look at a gal that we all should have by now. We get her for free and can get her dupes for free just by participating in the event, as well as her weapon and its dupes. So we should all have her maxed out very soon, if not already. That's right, it's Lotta, the SR that power crept Vepli immediately. Before I go any further, if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. I'm Shrike. I cover gacha games. The extent to which I cover them will largely depend on whether I think it's worth my time or not. So if you like gacha games, or this game in particular, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Ice-based Sentinel, so damage dealer, shotgun user, who specializes in AOE attacks. And speaking of attacks, let's go over them, starting with her passive. When an enemy target within range is affected by Cold Snap, perform one instance of Wise Support, dealing AOE physical damage equal to 50% of attack and 1 point of stability damage. This can be triggered up to 2 times per turn. A couple of her abilities will add Cold Snap onto the enemy, so that will come into play. Now moving on to her first skill. Select one direction and deals AOE freeze damage equal to 60% of attack to all enemy targets within a 3x5 area in the selected direction, destroying any destructible cover outside the 3x3 area around self. Additionally, applies Cold Snap to the target for 1 turn. Cold Snap in an AOE. Now Cold Snap is before moving, the target receives fixed damage equal to 10% of the attack of the unit that applied this effect, so her. It is a freeze movement debuff. So it's like their legs are surrounded by ice and they've got to break it, hurting themselves in the process. It's pretty neat. But that will pair well with her passive, giving her an instance of Wise Support every time they're affected with Cold Snap. If that's multiple people in the AOE, she'll do it multiple times, up to 2 times per turn. Alright, her next skill, Neural Adjustment. Fills Confectant's Index and gains attack up 1 for 2 turns. Now this is great, but I do wish that it had extra command so that you could also attack after you do this. And speaking of extra command, this one does have extra command. Select one enemy target within 6 tiles of the user to launch an attack, dealing AOE freeze damage equal to 100% of attack to it and all enemy targets within 3 tile that ignores cover damage reduction. If it hits 2 or more targets, gain extra command. If phase weakness is exploited, apply Cold Snap to the target. So ideally you want to target ice weak enemies with her, and you want to try to get 2 or more targets so that you get that extra command, so that you can go again. That is ideal for her. So right away we see that she's going to want a lot of Confectant's Index, but luckily we get a super quick answer for that as well in the form of her Neural Helix. The first set of fixed keys are both highly recommended for her, so grab them both right away. One of them happens to allow her to start the battle with 3 Confectant's Index points. Super helpful. The other increases damage dealt to frozen enemies, which she'll be doing. And if you're curious about the rest of her recommended keys, here they are. Trembling Aim. If freezing damage is dealt, apply Frozen to the target for 2 turns. Hunting Trap. Increase damage dealt against enemy targets with movement debuffs by 7. And that counts as a movement debuff, that ice thing she does, so she'll increase damage dealt to them by 7%. The fixed keys, this build allows her to deliver high burst damage in the first turn. For enemies which can't be killed easily, she can apply Frozen to them as a prelude to further damage. And the common keys will coordinate her AoE damage, her out of turn damage, and her movement debuffs, improving her damage output in various areas. And while we're here, let's look at her recommended weapons. Expeditionary Pigeon. A reason for recommendation, Lotta's AoE skills can cover many enemies, which make good use of Expeditionary Pigeon trait to do extra damage to targets with full Confectant's Index. At the same time, she can inflict Stability Loss 2 to multiple targets at once, providing a solid base for breaking stability. And M1 Super 90. Lotta's AoE skills all require the expenditure of Confectant's Index, which syncs perfectly with her Super 90's trait of increasing damage as Confectant's Index is spent. This one's acquired through the Sojourners of the Glass Island event. This one here is the one that we get the dupes of for free, so this will more than suffice. Don't feel the need to grab the pigeon, but if you happen to pull it, feel free to compare them. A fully maxed Super 90 might still beat a flat pigeon though. As for her attachments, I haven't tested them yet, but I'm pretty sure you're going to want the ice set to pump up her damage even more. So as you can see, she doesn't have great range, but can come right out of the gate and do some serious damage and apply some very helpful debuffs. And for a character that's just an SSR, and one that we get for free at that, I think it's a great deal. If you aren't making use of her, I think you're missing out. And that's all for today. I'm gonna fly. See you in the next one.